those 15 minutes before an 11 o'clock window on a Sunday. Set your fantasy lineups. Make sure those picks are right. Tinker them maybe a little bit.
I'm actually answering fantasy questions right now on Twitter, so there you go.
I've got a couple for you too. And make sure your money's not on the Chicago Bears, right, Cecil Lammy?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
I'm Jake Shapiro filling in for Rachel Vigil, who is out sick. He's Cecil Lammy. We have got the race to 4 wins in Carolina today between the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers. Cease, what are you expecting to see in today's game out in Charlotte?
Yeah, out in Charlotte, I'm expecting to see an offense that better use the outside. Like the outside, normally, Jake, I'm professing and promoting throwing to the inside, but we know Russell Wilson doesn't look at the middle of the field. He just avoids it at all costs. What works against Carolina and studying the film of this defense, one, they're going to rush a passer. That's bad news for Russell Wilson with this offensive line. So outside the numbers, use any sort of double moves when you get time. But this comes back to running the ball and then using out breaking routes. They're going to use pivot routes today, which is where you're going to run inside, do a loop, and come back outside. Those will be big against Carolina. Those work. So I'm expecting short passes, quick passes, and then out routes are the key to today's performance for the Broncos offense.
Is that something that's going to be maybe even a challenge, though, for the Broncos offense, considering Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler are out?
Yes, very much so. Now you have Kendall Hinton, who every team needs a Kendall Hinton. And I understand people he's just a guy. No. He is a technician, and he is someone who has a dog in him, right? Like KJ Hamler does, but he's hurt all the time. Tim Patrick does, but he's been out the entire year. They need more of those guys that are I'll do whatever, coach. I'll run through that brick wall. That's Kendall Hinton. And then if we could add more in Jalen Virgil, that would be nice for me. Greg Dulcich would work as well. But again, we're talking about middle of the field. I don't know how much Russell Wilson's going to go there. But yeah, no Jeudy, no Hamler. That does sting for this team, but they're prepared for it. And Cortland Sutton actually on outbreaking routes is good. They don't need to just run all these go routes all the time and throw it up. And Russell wants to throw the moon balls. No, what works against Carolina, short, quick passes to the outside. Hopefully that's their plan today.
Speaking about changes in the skill position, the Broncos they cut their starting running back for most of the season, Melvin Gordon, after he should have been cut a while ago after a lot of fumbles and mistakes that he made. We're going to see Marlon Mack most likely today. Latavius Murray looks like he's going to be RB1. Cecil, what do you expect to see at the running back position? Is there going to be some rhythm where one guy might be a third down back? Are we going to see a true split between carries? What's going to happen there? You've been out of practice.
I'd like to see Marlon Mack get an opportunity. Now, Murray needs the opportunity first, and they'll use a committee. I'm not a big committee guy, Jake. I like a bell cow, one guy. They don't really have one guy unless it could be Marlon Mack. Now, people will forget when Jonathan Taylor was drafted in the second round, by the way, because he should have been picked by the Chiefs. Imagine that. Oh, my God. Nightmare scenario. But when he was drafted, Marlon Mack was the starter. Marlon Mack was starting, and he was the guy. He was the plan. Taylor was the backup, and then Mack tears his Achilles. And then Taylor takes over and is the superstar. Marlon Mack is a really good back. That was a really good pickup for the Broncos. But since tearing his Achilles, Mack's never gotten that opportunity. And Achilles aren't as much of a killer as they used to be for a career. I'm old enough, Jake, to remember Dominique Wilkins with the Atlanta Hawks when he shredded his Achilles. Then he wasn't the human highlight reel anymore. He was just a guy and was soon done after that. So that was in the 80s, 90s, whatever. That's years ago. Now, medical technology, much better for these players. I'd like to see Marlon Mack get at least 10 to 15 carries as part of my 3 keys piece at DenverFan.com. And I'd like to see Latavius Murray get 15 to 20 touches. I think the touches in this backfield, if you can get 35 touches between Murray and Mack and get about 30 passing attempts, there's your 65 plays. And that's a best recipe for the Broncos today.
Yeah, Kevin Durant's still one of the top 5-7 basketball players in the world after an Achilles tear. And, they've figured that injury out. It's still a devastating injury, but there's still a chance you can come back from that. So maybe Marlon Mack is that guy. And speaking of that guy, can Marlon Mack maybe be that guy that is RB2 heading into next year behind Javonte Williams and maybe RB1 for a time when Williams is getting back up to speed? Because to me, it seems like the Broncos have a big question, at least internally, to ask this offseason of who is going to be our running back next year while we try to figure out Javonte and get him back up to speed.
Yes, I think we all need to prepare ourselves, Jake. We need to be ahead of these things. And as someone who's had a lot of therapy, I'm trying to like think ahead and be like, okay, Javonte Williams, I love him. This is where my heart comes in, Jake. I love Javonte. He's never going to be the same. He's never going to be the same. If he is, great. I'm not going to plan on it. So you're going to roll in next year. Marlon Mack is RB1. Chase Edmonds is RB2. You rework his deal because Chase Edmonds is on the books for $6 million. He's not going to play for $6 million. So, and none of it's guaranteed. So you can totally just be like, here's $3 million. And you'd be like, thank you. So your RB1 is Mack. Your RB2 is Edmonds. And then in October, around Halloween, Javonte Williams will be back. And then we'll see where he's at that moment. But I think we could get kind of a glimpse and see what Matt can do more in this wide zone system, which is what he does and what he can do best. And I think it's a good move for the Denver Broncos. I'd like to see a nice debut from him today.
So let's say I'm picking my fantasy lineup right now. I've got Jamar Chase. I realize my flex play is out for the day. And for some reason, I really want to pick up a Denver Bronco player. There are some streaming options, maybe, Cecil, to pick up with the Broncos because of all the injuries and stuff. Is there anyone that might be a smooth, a keen pickup to make today from this Broncos-Panthers game due to all these injuries and changes at the skill position?
Yeah, and the Broncos-Panthers game is not where I'm looking for fantasy help, but if you are, we did talk about Kendall Hinton, we did talk about Jalen Virgil, and if you're flexing Jamar Chase, Jake, your team must be stacked because Jamar Chase is a wide receiver 1 for everybody in this universe, and unfortunately, his debut is next week when the Bengals play Kansas City. Woo, boy, that gets me excited. Broncos-Panthers doesn't necessarily get me excited, but if you do want some streaming options, and there's no buys this week, so no one's worried about any player being on buy, but if you need some more punch because you're down from the Thanksgiving games, then yeah, you look to a safer play like a Kendall Hinton. If you're in a PPR league, there's 10 points right there. That's what he's going to get you. Maybe a little bit more touchdown would be nice. If you want a what-the-heck flex, that's what I like to call it, what-the-heck flex over Jalen Virgil, that would be a player to look to perhaps do a little bit more than some people think. And Greg Dulcich is a borderline tight end 1 this week. And hopefully, whether it's the middle of the field or those outbreaking routes that I'm talking about, Russell Wilson finds him today.
We've talked a lot about the offense early on here in this show. Cecil and Mase, Jake Shapiro.
There's a reason why.
Yes, there's a lot that needs to get fixed up, but on the other side of the ball, both these teams have been pretty good defensively. The Broncos have shown an ability to not be great towards the end of games, while the Panthers have had blips at other times. See, there's rain in the forecast out there. It favors the defense, normally the rain. Could this be a game with the over-under set around 35, 36 that even goes under, I think, the NFL's lowest over-under total of the year?
Yeah, I believe so, because it's already going to be ugly. Okay, now, as I've written about at DenverFan.com, this is an opportunity for Denver to beat a lesser opponent, but are they really lesser? Are these guys equal? Are they actually on equal footing? And it's so remarkable, but that this is a Super Bowl 50 rematch. It's so remarkable how things have gone so awry and I'm so happy I didn't go to see you like you, Jake, but I do love the Buffs. I'm not as delusional as some Buffs fans because, man alive, do they suck. But I'm so glad that Matt Rule is with Nebraska because I hate the Bug Eaters. But anyway, look at how Carolina's fallen. Look at how the Broncos have fallen. So, am I projecting this? They're going to score 24 points. No, and 24, that's a disgusting total. Like, they should easily be scoring 24 points. Can you get to 18, please? Could you maybe push for 20, please? At the end of the day, this is probably a 13-9 game. So not real exciting. Not a lot of fantasy value from this squad. And well, on both sides, you're featuring now Sam Darnold for the Carolina Panthers. So this Broncos defense should be able to test that ankle, which had knocked him out for the entire year. He was hurt in the preseason finale. Baker Mayfield was already named the starter by that time, but Darnold's been out since the preseason. Now he's back. They're trying to find something at quarterback because PJ Walker's not real good and he's hurt, and Baker Mayfield's not good and he's healthy. So now it's Sam Darnold's turn. So there you go. No Christian McCaffrey, of course. So stop Dante Foreman, make them a one-handed team, get after Sam Darnold and test that ankle.
Sam Darnold was a top 5 pick, so he's obviously a talented dude. Does he
Mm-hmm.
change anything for the Broncos defense versus what they could have faced in Baker Mayfield and what
Yes.
they probably would have faced in PJ Walker?
1000%. I'm glad that you bring that up. And he'd be more closely to, you could watch Walker film and you could see what Darnold's going to do, because Baker Mayfield didn't throw to DJ Moore. And I wrote about it in my game plan at DenverFan.com. Like, DJ Moore should do more. Now you're thinking, well, he's on Pat Surtain. Okay. And Pat Surtain is fantastic. He's awesome. He's the greatest ever, or whatever I have to say. He looked pretty bad last week. Now, that's Davante Adams, okay? Davante Adams will make anybody look bad. DJ Moore's not that level. Davante Adams is a superstar. DJ Moore's a star. And they'll move him around the formation. Pat Surtain's not going to just travel with DJ Moore everywhere. But where Baker Mayfield didn't throw at DJ Moore, Sam Darnold's going to. Sam Darnold plays YOLO ball. And look at what the Commanders are doing with Taylor Heineke, the ultimate YOLO quarterback, where he's like, he's triple covered, whatever. Like, it's YOLO, right? That's what he does. And that's what Sam Darnold will do. And Sam Darnold also, this might be the last time he ever starts or is seen as potentially a future of something. So you're talking about an air desperation from a quarterback who we didn't even know if he'd be back this year because they might have just shut him down. Well, we're not going to go with you. No, they're trying to go back with Sam Darnold. That was their plan initially when they traded with the Jets. So you have a desperate quarterback in a situation where he might be starting his last game ever. You bet your ass it's going to be YOLO ball today. So that's a problem where Baker would be like pretty safe, pretty boring, a lot of mistakes. Darnold will make the mistakes, but he'll keep going after you. He'll keep firing those passes. So all of these targets, your Terrace Marshall is a target. And I know Damari Mathis has played some good football. I like that young man a lot. But I look at this situation and go, this is much more dangerous with Sam Darnold because he doesn't care. He's backed into a corner. His career might be over as a starter. He's going to come out and sling it.
Did McDaniels, Carr, and Adams find something that can be schemed again against the Broncos defense to make teams again successful? Or is there just a common thread that's been an issue that maybe the novice does not see with this Broncos defense late in games?
Yeah, and late in games, oh man, if you do not get pressure with 4, and I know everyone's zonered it up. Why is scoring down the league? Everyone's running zone dog. It's fine. It's zone's a zone. A cover 2 is a cover 2. Teams know these things. So you're going to try to get pressure with 4. And if you're Jair Evero, maybe late in games, you take a bit more gamble. He wasn't playing prevent, to be sure, but you're trying to get pressure with just 4. You got to bring more than that. You got to make these quarterbacks make these decisions faster. If you have Derek Carr's time, he's going to find those guys. And that's just what happened last week.
Yeah, that route to Davante Adams was a very, very big looping long route in overtime. Cecil, final thoughts here. What's your prediction for today's game? Are the Broncos going to be the first to 4 over the Carolina Panthers?
Oh my God. I know that so bad. And I want everyone to know this is just regular iced tea. There's nothing else in this, but I am picking the Broncos because I'm dumb. I don't know. 17. I feel bad saying 17-13 Broncos get the win. So they have 4 wins, and well, they still need to replace Nathaniel Hackett.
Is he gone if they do indeed lose this game?
Maybe. I mean, it should have been gone last week. I know they don't want to be the first. I don't care about that. This is a bad message to send to the fans. It's a bad message. I always talk about like the kids or whatever, like it ain't the kids, it's the fans, which are your kids. And if you're the Broncos, you're sending the bad message by just continuing to be below average and having Nathaniel Hackett out there. But there's also a split. Speaking of tea, Jake, you just opened up the door because there is some tea about this team. I'll save it for later. But like, there's a split because there's people that are blaming Wilson and there's people that are blaming Hackett in the building. I'm blaming Hackett because I know they already paid Wilson.
Speaking of tea, you can catch all that tea on Orange and Blue today, 3:30 every single weekday with Cecil Lammey and Andrew Mason. DMAC would say Cecil Lammey's picked the Denver Broncos simply because they are playing today. You can catch DMAC and I on post-game show right after the game ends. We are looking forward to seeing you on Halftime Chill as well. That's going to wrap for pregame because the Broncos are kicking off in Carolina right now. He's Cecil Lammey. I'm Jake Shapiro. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk to you later.